in the previous class, we had stopped at this point where we had built a relationship between actual rate of growth. What do we really mean by this equation? What are the implications of this? And based on these implications, what is the instability problem that Harrod model has in its formation? So remember, I had set out some questions that Harrod had when he was presenting his model. And in the previous class, we could answer the first part of the question, which is when will the investor's expectation be met? Said that xt will be equal to yt when et hat will be equal to s by c. So this was the answer to the first question, ki at what point will the investor's expectation be realized? And we said that the investors have expected xt as the output and yt is the actual output. And from this relationship, we can say that xt will be equal to yt only when gt hat is equal to s by c. So we could answer the first part of the question, but what we are going to discuss today is the answer to the second question. What will happen if expectations are not realized? What will happen if expectations are not realized? So from this equation, let me just rewrite this equation here again. Now from this equation, it is quite clear that gt will be equal to gt hat if and only if t hat is equal to s by c. Say that when gt hat is equal to s by c, what will happen? When gt hat is equal to s by c, then this and this will get cancelled. You will be left with gt is equal to 1 minus 1 plus gt hat. If I have to just maybe, it's quite simple, but if I write this, then when gt hat is equal to s by c, you will be left with gt is equal to 1 minus 1 plus gt hat. 1 will get cancelled and you will be left with gt is equal to gt hat. If gt hat is say greater than s by c, then you will notice that gt will also be greater than gt hat. We are saying that gt will be equal to gt hat if and only if gt hat is equal to s by c. So अगर investors ने जो expectation करी है about the growth rate, if that is equal to the ratio of savings rate, savings output ratio and capital output ratio, then the actual growth rate in output will be exactly equal to the warranted growth rate. Why? Because we know that when gt hat when gt is equal to s by c, then xt is equal to yt. So we are saying कि अगर investors expect करते हैं अपने growth rate को by this amount, by the ratio of the savings output and the capital output, then gt which is the actual growth rate will be exactly equal to the warranted growth rate. Investors expect gt hat to be greater than s by c. Now I mean, as I was talking about this in the previous class as well, very briefly, that it is not really possible for the investors to always strike that balance and identify this ratio of s by c and make their expectations according to this growth rate, according to this warranted growth rate. It's quite possible that they miss this balance, they miss this number, and they might expect something greater than s by c or less than s by c. So what happens when they expect their warranted growth rate to be greater than or less than s by c? You will notice that when gt is greater than s by c, then the actual growth rate will be even greater than the warranted growth rate. And if gt hat is less than s by c, then gt will be less than gt hat. So we are saying कि जब warranted growth rate will miss out this ratio, if the warranted growth rate exceeds this ratio of s by c, then the actual growth rate, which is the growth rate that is actually occurring, which is in yt, will be even greater than what they had expected. By they, I mean the investors. So what investors have expected, the actual growth rate will be greater than that. And if investors expect their growth rate to be less than S by C, then the actual growth rate would be less than what the investors have expected. So, in a way, you notice in this model that the markets are actually giving opposite signals. So, the ideal balance is to identify this number S by C. If investors identify that S by C is the growth rate that will occur, and they plan their expectations, they plan their investments according to this expectation, then GT will be exactly equal to GT hat, which means the reality will exactly replicate the expectation. But what if GT hat is greater than S by C? Then they have actually expected more than what they should have expected. So they have actually expected more. This is what they have actually expected more than they should. So ideally, the market should give them a signal that they have expected more than they should. That should have been the ideal situation, so that they can go back to the equilibrium and get back to this equilibrium situation where GT hat is equal to S by C. But what is really happening? The market is giving them opposite signals. How? The market shows that when investors expect the growth rate to be greater than S by C, they actually observe that the actual growth rate is in fact even greater than what they had expected. So what will the investors feel? Investors will feel that they have underinvested. The market will tell them that they have underinvested, whereas actually in reality, if you compare this equilibrium with what they have actually expected, they have actually invested more. So instead of giving them a signal that they have invested more than they should, the market is giving them an opposite signal that they have underinvested, because the actual growth rate comes out to be greater than what they had expected. Similarly, in the second case, when the investor's warranted growth rate is less than S by C, equilibrium situation is when it is equal to S by C. So actually what they are doing is they are expecting less than they should. This is the reality, right? So the market should actually tell them that they have underinvested. This is what is really happening. But what is the market telling them? The market is saying that the actual growth rate is less than what they had expected, meaning that they have overinvested, whereas the market should tell them that they have underinvested. But when you compare the actual growth rate with the warranted growth rate, you see that they have actually overinvested. The actual growth rate comes out to be less than what they had expected. Investors had expected that output will grow at 10%. That is GT hat. But GT turns out to be 15%. Okay? So when GT hat is greater than S by C, then actual rate is in fact greater than what they had expected. So investors ko kya lagega? What will investors feel when they actually see what is visible to investors? What is visible to investors is this relationship. Investors ko ye wali relationship visible nahi hai. Investors wouldn't know that they have missed the equilibrium point. Investors are like you and me, right? You and me, suppose we have a firm and we are operating and we are deciding how much to produce, and this is not even happening at a microeconomic level. This is an interaction of multiple investors together. We are talking about macroeconomics. So I mean, there are a lot of other aspects as well, but for me as an individual, I do not really care about what is the savings rate, what is the capital output ratio, and how much. I mean, I don't know about this theory, so I wouldn't know that I just have to invest keeping in mind that the output will grow by S by C. I can miss out this S by C. So if I miss out this S by C, and suppose I am investing more than what I should, if I say that S by C is the equilibrium, but as an investor I am more than what I should, then what will I see? I will see this kind of a situation where I see that I had planned my investment according to 10%. मैंने कैपिटल अपना इन्वेस्ट करा, आई हैड अटेन्ड मोर कैपिटल कीपिंग इन माइंड दैट द आउटपुट विल ग्रो एट 10%, बट आई सी दैट इन रियलिटी आउटपुट इज ग्रोइंग एट 15%. People are coming for more and more. I mean, there's more and more demand that's created and the output is growing at a much greater rate. Then what will I feel? As an investor, I will feel that I have underinvested. I should have invested more. Because I mean, and what are the implications of this opposing signals that are being given by the market is exactly what the instability problem is in the Harrod model. But the idea should be clear then, that when as an investor I should ideally be feeling that I have invested more, I am actually feeling in reality, by looking at this relationship between GT and GT hat, I am actually feeling that I have underinvested, which is an opposite signal. What will the investor feel? What will the investor plan for the next period? He will invest more, right? So even in the next time period, he will invest more. So basically, when he invests more, then he is going away from S by C even further away. Suppose in the first time period, he was at this rate. Let me draw this here. If this is the equilibrium, if S by C is the equilibrium, and in the first time period he was at this point, which was greater than S by C, suppose this is the increasing order of the numbers, then in the first time period he is actually in fact greater than equilibrium, but the market tells him that you are under investing. Then what will he do in the next time period? He will expect even more. When he expects even more, he is going further away from the equilibrium point. Again the market will tell him that you are investing less. Again he will invest more. Again his GT hat will increase. Again he is going further away from S by C, and so on. He will keep on moving away from the equilibrium rather than coming back to the equilibrium. That's how markets operate, right? That's how we believe in the free market forces, that when demand increases, prices will increase, so and so will happen, and hence you reach a new equilibrium point by increasing the prices. So ideally the market brings you back to equilibrium by giving you a signal. But here we see that instead of coming back to equilibrium, which is at S by C, the investor is moving away and away from the equilibrium. And that is what the instability problem is in the Harrod model. That if the investor's expectations are realized, then the investor will deviate from the equilibrium and he will never come back to equilibrium, is what the Harrod's problem is, the model's problem is. So suppose you look at, if the first thing is clear, then if you look at the second thing, it's just the second case of what should have been and what is happening. So if GT hat is now less than S by C, if GT hat is less than S by C, then what is happening? This is the equilibrium point, S by C is the equilibrium point, but you are actually investing less than S by C. So actually you are expecting less than what you should, right? And the market, if you have to come back to equilibrium, then the market should also tell you the same, that you are under investing. So when the market will tell you that you are under investing, then you will probably invest more and you might reach this ratio of S by C. But because the market is telling you the opposite, you will move away from S by C in the opposite direction now. Market is telling you when GT hat is less than S by C, then GT is less than GT hat. Right? Which is what? Which is saying that GT hat is 10% and GT turns out to be 9%. So what will the investor feel? Investor will feel that I have actually over-invested. I had expected output will grow at 10%, but now my stocks are left alone. I mean, my capital is left alone, my products are left alone. I should have invested something lesser because the actual output is growing at just 9%. So market will tell the investor that you are actually over investing, again giving him an opposite signal. So say in the first time period, this is equilibrium, right? In the first time period, investor expected GT hat, which was less than S by C, but the market tells him that you are over investing. What will he do in the next time period? He will invest even lesser. He will expect even lesser and invest even lesser. So again, he will move away from S by C in the opposite direction. And that's the essence of Harrod's model, that if investors miss out on this level of expectation, which is S by C, then you are in a turmoil. You are in a situation where you can never come back to equilibrium. You are just moving away, away and away from the equilibrium. It is a big error, big problem. But again, keep in mind that this is a model, right? This is just a theoretical model. Whether this is really happening in reality or not is again a big question. Whatever I am saying right now is a theory, is something that has been propounded by Harrod back then. And he felt he wanted to explain what is happening in the economy. Because I told you, when I started with this Harrod model, I told you, I gave you the framework, I gave you the time frame, that this is the time period this model had come into picture. Because people were not, because everybody was losing faith on market forces before growth, I mean before all of these models had come into picture. People always believed in market forces. By people I mean academicians or policy makers and all of these government officials at that point. But the idea is that before that time period, all of these academicians believed in market forces. They said that if there will ever be a disequilibrium in the market, markets will self-correct. Markets will automatically, create incentives or disincentives in a way that you will come back to equilibrium. That was their belief. But when during Great Depression, things were not improving, things were not coming back to equilibrium, economies were facing huge issues of unemployment, that is when faith from the market forces starting losing out. It started becoming weak. People started questioning that why are the markets not going back to equilibrium situation. Why is it that we have persistent level of unemployment? Why is it that we have persistent level of inflation? And that is when questions started popping up. And Harrod just made an attempt to explain what is happening. He wanted to explain that maybe this is happening. Maybe investors are not expecting the right point. They are not at the right point. And if they are not at the right point, then you will actually witness a situation like this. So Harrod was just trying to explain what is really happening in the market. What was really happening in the market back then. Right? So definitely we are talking about an issue which is a problematic issue, which is that we are not coming back to equilibrium. I'll give you a numerical example here of the same concept so that it is even more better. So say you have a savings ratio in the market which is 20%. So S by Y, capital S by Y is 20%. So out of the entire total income, 20% of it is being saved by people. And let's say the capital output ratio is equal to 2, means that to produce 1 unit of output, you need 2 units of capital. So K by Y is 2, right? Now, from this, can we calculate the equilibrium warranted rate of growth? 10% and capital output ratio is 2. So this will be 10%. Now, this is the equilibrium. This is the ideal level of growth rate that investors should expect the economy to grow at if they want to remain in equilibrium, right? So say the current level of output is 90, then growing at 10% would mean, so in time period T, say it is 90, and in time period T plus 1, a 10% growth rate will mean a movement to 100. Next period's output should be 100, right? If this is the situation, right? Now, suppose if investors expect, if this is GT hat and if investors expect that output will grow by 10 units, right? The distance, the additional flow of output is 10 units. If this is what the investors expect, then let me write this as X. Maybe that's better for understanding. Okay. And additional level of output is 10, and to produce 10 units of output, how much capital would you need? 20, because C is equal to 2. So if you are using 2 units of capital to produce 1 unit of output, to produce 10 units of output, you would need 20. If investors expect output to be growing at 10%, then if the current level is 90, or maybe I should use the same notation to avoid, sort of confusion. This is yt minus 1 and this is xt. Okay. Additional level of output is 10, and to produce 10 units of output, given C is equal to 2, you would need 20 units of capital. And we said, हमने बोला था जब हैरेट मॉडल हम डिफाइन कर रहे थे कि 2 स्टेप्स में ऑपरेट करता है. फर्स्ट इज एक्सेलरेटर मॉडल ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट, जिसमें हम ये आइडेंटिफाई कर रहे हैं कि कितनी एक्सपेक्टेशन है, एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट एक्सपेक्टेशन हाउ मच इन्वेस्टमेंट शुड बी मेड. दैट्स द फर्स्ट स्टेप. द सेकंड स्टेप इज कि जब आपने ये आइडेंटिफाई कर लिया कि कितना कैपिटल बिल्ड करना है, देन द एक्चुअल चेंज इन वाई will be 1 by s multiplier times the change in capital. So 20%, 1 by 20% will be, so this is not delta y, this will be y, which is equal to what? See that the expected output is actually equal to the actual output. Case when they expect too much, xt is expected to be 101. This is the case where we are expecting too much, the investors are expecting too much, and then the additional flow of output becomes 11. To meet this additional flow of output, change in capital would be how much? 22, because capital output ratio is equal to 2. And ultimately, the actual output will be equal to 1 by s into delta k, which is 1 by 0.20 into 22. This will be what? 110. So what do we notice here? We notice that yt comes to be equal to 110 and xt is 101. Right? So when the investors expect too much, which is when they expect GT hat to be greater than S by C, you notice that YT, which is the actual output, comes out to be greater than the expected output, which will give investors a signal that they had under invested. Signal मिलेगा market से of under investment. This is the case when the investors are expecting too much and GT hat is greater than S by C. The second case is when they expect less. That is, for GT hat is equal to S by C, XT should be equal to 100. Now we say that XT, let's say, is 99. Their expectation is that there will be an additional flow of 9 units of output. Now, to meet these 9 units of output, how much capital would they need? Because we say that C is fixed at, and YT will be 1 by S into delta K, which will be. So what do you notice here? You notice that YT is 90, whereas XT is how much? 99. So when GT hat is less than S by C, then YT, or the actual output, is less than XT. YT, which is the actual output, is less than XT, and hence the signal is that you have over invested. The actual output comes out to be less than what you had expected. So the signal is of over investment. Okay, so then if I have to plot the situation here in terms of a graph, and if I take time period on the x-axis, then I say that Harrod's model basically tries to explain the situation that if GT hat is at S by C, then GT hat is equal to GT, which is the state of equilibrium, a steady state of growth. Remember the first question, the very first thought that Harrod had was to identify a steady state of growth, which is only happening possibility of steady growth, whether there is a possibility of steady growth or not. And he says that it is only possible when GT hat is equal to S by C. Now, if GT hat is greater than this level, then what is happening with each time period? Your time path would look like this. You are moving away and away from this point. Similarly, when GT hat is less than GT hat is less than S by C, then again you are moving away and away. So you see that these two time paths are actually divergent, and they will never come back to this point, which is the point of equilibrium. They will never come back to this point, which is the point of equilibrium. So these two time paths are actually diverging. And this is what the Harrod's instability problem is. That if the investors do not expect the warranted rate of growth to be equal to S by C, then the economy will never come back to equilibrium. It will move on these diverging paths. So we can say that the instability model can be summarized as, this model of instability can be summarized as GT hat is equal to GT minus 1 hat plus lambda times GT minus 1 into minus GT minus 1 hat, where lambda is some positive constant. Now, combination of this equation and the equation that we had written before, which was GT is equal to 1 minus GT hat by GT hat into S by C. These two equations together form this unstable model. This is a highly unstable model. Because if we believe that GT and GT hat are related by this equation, if GT and GT hat are related by this equation, and from the results we can establish a relation between GT minus 1 and GT minus 1 hat, and this is nothing. The first equation that I have written here is just a numerical way of writing what we are understanding here, which is that expected growth rate in time period T will be equal to what? Will be equal to the expected growth rate in the previous time period, right? And then you will make some adjustments based on the actual growth rate in time period T minus 1 minus the expected growth rate in time period T minus 1, some lambda times some positive constant of this difference. And we notice that this difference is actually going in the opposite direction, which is that when GT hat is greater than S by C, then GT actual growth rate minus the warranted growth rate will be positive. So it will always move in the wrong direction, right? So if GT is, if GT minus 1 is greater than GT minus 1 hat, right? What does this mean? This means this will only happen when GT minus 1 hat will be greater than S by C, right? And when this happens, when GT minus the actual growth rate in time period T minus 1 is greater than the expected growth rate in time period T minus 1, then GT hat will be greater than this value. And that's what we have written in this equation. So we are just saying that the adjustments in the expected growth rate will move in the wrong direction. And these two equations will together will form a highly unstable model. They will never come back to equilibrium. Which one of these two situations? Now the following question could be that we are talking about two situations of disequilibrium. One is this one and the other one is this one. Which one of these two is more dangerous, is more harmful for the economy? So case 1 will be at least better than case 2. Even if you had to stay in a situation of disequilibrium, this one is still better than this one. Why? Because in this case, what is happening? You are witnessing a situation where your expectation is more than the actual. ठीक है, so you're saying कि हमने expect करा था कि हमारी 90 units sell हो जाएंगी, लेकिन sell सिर्फ हुई 80 units. We are left with some amount of unsold commodities. Inventories बन गई, right? But in this case, what is happening? In this case, even when you expect something, you will never be able to meet the actual demand. You will always fall short. Your demand will always be left alone. I mean, there will be some part of the actual demand that you will never be able to meet, because YT will always be greater than XT at all time periods T. At all time periods, YT will be greater than XT. So you will always feel as an investor that you have underinvested. And underinvestment will create a situation of inflation. What will happen? Ultimately, when there is demand, in very simple language, what is happening in case 1? Case 1 is when YT is greater than XT, actual is greater than expectation. So जो जितना supply होगा वो expectation के according होगा, और demand किसके according हो रही है? YT के according, and this is always greater than XT at all time periods T. What will this lead to? This will lead to an increase in prices, which is inflation. So when there is an increase in price, you might be able to meet the expected level of nominal output by increasing the level of. Now here comes the difference between nominal and real, right? So whenever I write YT and XT, let's say that these are all real values. So what we are saying is that you may not be able to meet the real equality between the actual output and expected output, but by an increase in price, you might reach an equilibrium in terms of nominal output by an increase in prices, right? So when you increase the prices of the commodity, then you might be able to meet the expected level, the actual level of nominal output, but at the cost of increasing inflation. So with each time period, in this situation, you might create more and more inflation, which is again very, very harmful. So that is why, I mean, this model of Harrod that he has presented, the equilibrium in this model is called as a knife edge equilibrium. Why knife edge equilibrium? Because the equilibrium is at such a small margin that if you move away from this margin, you are moving into disequilibrium. So that is why this is called as a knife edge balance or a knife edge equilibrium, because you are sort of at a point where any small change in the value of the expectation will just disturb the entire model. Precisely what you have in this reading. The basic idea is to the model, as I said, I mean, the reading doesn't really talk about Harrod model in detail, but it talks about one of the very fundamental issues or problems that Harrod had tried to introduce in his model, through which he wanted to explain what is really happening in the economy. So this knife edge equilibrium, the concept of this knife edge equilibrium is very, very important for the problem of instability in the Harrod model, and that is the crux of your reading. And with this, from my side, the first reading of growth models, which is on Harrod model, is over.